Welcome to our Corona Chamber business briefing on June 15th. Excited to have you all joining us online and those watching at a later date. So right now, I would like to pass it over to Jeff Miller. He is our chair for our Legislative Action Committee to go ahead and get this meeting started. Thank you all.
Thank you, Anthony. I'd like to, I'm going to rearrange the schedule a little bit today. I need to put Jeff Gibson on first because he has a call at 10:15. So welcome. Thank you all for jumping on the call. As Anthony said, I'm Jeff Miller. I'm the Legislative Action Chair. And I'd like to start out thanking today's sponsor, Creative by Design. Creative by Design has been offering creative services since 1996. Celebrating 25 years in business this month, they provide graphic design services for logos, brochures, flyers, and other marketing items such as web design, specializing in WordPress. They also provide printing services as well as promotional products. Thank you, Creative by Design, for sponsoring today's meeting. As a reminder, there's a little chat button on the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to click chat, send in your questions. And with that, I'd like to introduce Jeff. Jeff owns Occidental Communications Group, and for the past 35 years, he has specialized in areas of government affairs, political consulting, and communications. He has specialized in areas involving the environment, transportation, housing, criminal justice system, and a variety of different things. So with that, Jeff, there you are. Take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Today, I'm coordinating testimony and trying to get the state of California not to use climate change as a yardstick for determining what is an endangered species and what is not. We talked last week about, in the state of California, bumblebees, and by definition, then all insects are fish. And the reason that that declaration was made by a state appellate court was for the purposes of being able to protect every living thing from climate change. This morning, the Fish and Game Commission is trying to classify Joshua trees, which are already 90% fully protected, of which there are 14 million Joshua trees in the state of California. But because climate change may or may not, we are not doubting or debating whether or not climate change is happening, but the California Endangered Species Act very specifically says if you do one discrete act, for instance, if you develop the Arrowhead Medical Center in San Bernardino County, you will, by doing that, affect the Delhi sands fly. That's actually something that happened. And so you cannot develop the medical center the way that it was originally designed because of potential problems with a species. There needs to be a specific threat under the code and a specific action required to ameliorate that threat. What the Fish and Game Commission is trying to do today is actually turn that on its head and say if there is any sort of scientific theory that could potentially harm species of any type, and you may have forgotten that for 400 years, the leading science indicated that everything on Earth was tied together by little filaments known as ether, until a man named Einstein came along, was kicked out of every single major research location in the world for his theory that everything was held together by gravity. So I believe he's been held right. I'm not sure. I don't read the papers as much as others. But in any case, that is definitely something that is happening. Hold on 1 second for me. I have. Sorry about that. We've got a crazy day over here. So moving on, Happy to answer any questions about that you may have. But our first bill up today is AB 257, which is a mandatory pay hike and change in almost everything that every restaurant in California would go through on labor and everything else that is possible. Uh, uh, the bill creates the what's known as the Fast Food Labor Council in the Department of Industrial Relations, which is an 11-person unelected board that would handle employee complaints on every, and I mean everything that happens within a restaurant that would qualify under the act as being fast food. Now, in the state of California, because of minimum wage and other requirements, almost every restaurant has taken on aspects of what would be considered by the 1937 standards, fast food. And if you remember, because of AB 5, the legislature recognized that any standard for restaurants, that any standard classification passed since 1937 is null and void and will remain null and void. So if you order at a kiosk, if you order on an app and then go and sit down in the restaurant and have an experience which you would normally recognize as a valid restaurant experience, that is fast food. If you work in a full kitchen for part of a restaurant, but you have a Postmates delivery system, you are a fast food restaurant. So up to 70% of the restaurants in the state of California would be ruled by a wage council that could say, yes, indeed, in Corona, you are paying the state minimum wage at Miguel's or Eduardo's or Citrus City Grill, or name any of the restaurants that you would like, but we feel that that a living wage is needed there. And so in Corona, you will need to pay $22 or be represented by a union. And so this is what we've been fighting for a long time. This is definitely a job killer bill. So AB 257 we are opposing, and it has moved forward in the state Senate out of its policy committee and is moving over to the appropriations committee to determine whether or not the state has money to pay for that. So we are working very hard to eliminate that act. Happy to discuss that if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. We do have two questions that came in. One is, why do they think this new board is needed? What is broken with the current system that necessitates this new board?
Necessitates it, yeah.
Necessitates this new board. Does this begin to chip away at our right at will employment status?
It definitely chips away at will. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to make it to the point where every single person in the state of California who has a job is represented by a union. That is the stated goal of the author. The stated goal of the author of this bill is, by the time he finishes in the legislature, it will be impossible for someone to have a job in the state of California that is not represented by a union. And so that's the goal here, is that your employees are not your employees. They're the employees of the state represented by a union, and you happen to pay them. And that is that's that's not Jeff Gibson saying that. That's not the Corona Chamber of Commerce saying that. That's Assemblymember Holden from Pasadena saying that. And that is his goal. And not necessarily will he reach it, but that's what he's aiming for. But yes, it's definitely designed to put the state in between you and your employee, period. So so good news. Hey, that'll be fun, huh?
Thank you, Jeff. And the other question was, who appoints the unelected board?
The unelected board has appointments from the governor, from the state assembly, from the state senate, one each, and then verified experts who are appointed by the board themselves. And it's the Department of Industrial Relations, which was empowered as a result of a state Supreme Court ruling that was sought by a group of unions. So anyone can apply to be on this board, but you would have to have verified expertise according to the Department of Industrial Relations, which is headed by a group of people that have experience in unions and very little experience in running restaurants. And if I missed anything, Jeff, and kind of summing up how that works, you, by all means, you can chime in. But
Jeff, I just wanted to, sorry, Jeff, Mr. Miller, for chiming in. I just wanted, Jeff Gibson, this is also an attack on franchising, correct? Because I understand that it's rooted in going after franchisees, or a kind of a perception that McDonald's, Subway, those places, it's a way to kind of argue that local employees of franchises are actually, these big companies are getting away with paying lower wages because, right? I think that's one of the most dangerous aspects of its attack.
The state legislature is very interested in eliminating franchising in the state of California, because franchising is very difficult. As Starbucks is fine, as Starbucks.
Try again, Jeff. Did we lose you? We must have lost him.
So either that or he's being really still.
And it was at such a crucial part too.
I know, it blew it. Paul Bender blew me out. So
what are you doing to us, Jeff?
I got you right on. I held you spellbound. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Exactly.
I didn't even move my head or my hand or anything. It just went out and came back. So yes, it is an attack on franchises. One of the things that you need to be able to kind of, the thing that I'm talking to a lot of my clients about is, in a state where a bumblebee can be made into a fish, and in a court of law, franchisees can be made into a single company, even though you have a series of documents that clearly show you own the franchise, you share branding, you share some intellectual property, but by all available standards from the federal government, from the state government. I mean, in this state, we pretend that there has not been a single ruling or law or any sort of aspect since the 1937 passage of the Industrial Relations Act. And so that is what's ruling us at this point. And unfortunately, the state legislature, through AB 5, ruled that, or determined that, yes, all industrial standards, all labor standards need to be returned to 1937, and then we will go from there to create a new world. And this brave new world that they're creating for us. So we're trying very hard to protect you. And yeah, but yeah, you are definitely correct, Paul Bender. It is an attack on franchises, which have to pay the wages that are required. So it's not that someone at a McDonald's or a Subway or a Chick-fil-A can pay lower wages than minimum wage, or have work standards, or in LA County not pay a living wage. You can't open a business without paying a living wage. You can't open a business without, whether franchised or not, without living up to every labor standard that's already in place. So this is the legislature. One of the problems is the legislature giving its authority to somebody else. And then on just to brighten up the day a little bit, because Jeff Miller always likes me to end on a bright note. SB 260 by State Senator Scott Wiener, a Democrat from San Francisco. We've talked about him before. He is, if he were on this call, he would agree that he is an avowed communist who does not believe in private property or the ownership of goods. That is the way that he introduces himself on the floor of the state Senate. So that is the descriptor we will use. Requiring all organizations to have a climate change reporting requirement. It has moved out of the state Senate over to the state Assembly. It's been moved through its first committee in the state Assembly and the Natural Resources Committee. It imposes a $25,000 per day fine for not complying with emissions standards reporting, which you would think, well, I, just to use an example, own a franchised human resources company. There are no emissions. Well, actually, there are, because you have pens, because you have pencils, because you have all manner of different things. And so you would have to send to the state on an annual basis under what's known as Chapter 3 emissions standards, which are non-measurable emissions that bear no scientific weight. You would have to report to the state basically the goods that you're using, so that they could end up involving those in a climate change determination. So that is moving. It's moving. It's a job killer, obviously, and it's something that we're working very hard to oppose. But so I hope everybody out there is enjoying the bear market as much as I am. I have joked in the past, being the father of 4, that I plan on working a very, very long time, and it appears that the economy is agreeing with me. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or I will jump off and go fight climate change. One energy.
Save the Joshua trees.
Which we have been saving for the last 70 years, and we have done so extremely successfully. There are 3 million Joshua trees that are less than 5 years old, which is a very healthy rate of growth for a tree that grows less than 1 inch a year. So when you see those huge Joshua trees out there that are 25 feet tall, they grow 1 to 3 inches a year. So if they generally look dead, but that's not by your design, that's not by my design, that's by the maker's design. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I appreciate our mayor jumping on the call. I'd like to throw it over to him for a little bit. But before that, Jeff, what was the name of the unelected board? What was the acronym for that?
The acronym for that is the Fast Food Employee Council. And I can, and in a later a call, I can get into that more. But yes,
okay.
It's AB
FFEC. Okay, thank you. I know you got to jump off and you got another call. Wes, how you doing? Thank you for jumping on the call. I wanted you to know that after your last presentation on those 3 transportation bills, Paul Bender and I signed immediately that night letters of opposition to those 3 transportation bills. So hopefully they're getting stalled or amended. But go ahead. Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for the support on those bills. They really are devastating, and I'm hoping that we can get some substantial changes to them when they get to the Senate. I did want to, I did send a note to Assemblymember Cervantes for voting no on one of the bills. I forget which one it was, but I sent her a note and wanted to make sure that people knew that she had voted no on, I thought, the most damaging one. So but yeah, thank you, and getting that stuff out in the public so people really understand it is important. And some of these things are a little bit abstract, especially when you see the titles of them. But the reality will be pretty huge. So well, thanks. I appreciate that. And then of course the chamber always does a great job of highlighting some of these bills that are job killers, and we're able to take those too and see how those fit with our legislative platform that we adopted at the city level, and write support or opposition letters. In fact, it's not always an opposition letter. We did I sent a note out on social media, and the city also sent a support letter in for some changes to help prevent, or at least slow down, the amount of catalytic converters that are stolen. And in fact, I think that was heard on Monday in Senator Ross' committee, and I haven't heard to see where, if it moved on or not. But it's basically, it would insure some additional penalties and inspections and those sorts of things on some of the recyclers that are taking these catalytic converters, and it's kind of a big deal. So while you guys had that prepped, thanks. Yeah, we do have a council meeting tonight. There's some probably interesting things I think that I can chat about, if those of you that either are going to be there or not be there. We're going to be talking about our wildfire mitigation plan. That's for the lines that we own. And then I think most exciting for me is an item that I brought forward that'll be considered tonight, which is a new program called Recycle at Home. And it's a pilot program that the state is put forward because there's such a deficit in the amount of money that's being, a surplus, that there's a massive surplus of about $600 million that's sitting in Sacramento, folks that aren't recycling. And I think that we want to try and find different ways. The state wants to find different ways to recycle. And one of the items that they permitted as a pilot project, and the first one was in Irvine, was to allow recyclers to go to your home and pick up your recycling right at your house. So we're partnering with a company called Ryan's Recycling, and they had their first item in their first business in Irvine, where they'll come to your home and they will take your recycling and pay you on the spot, electronically, of course, or you could leave it in a location and they will take pictures and weigh it and pay you and come right to your house at no cost to the city and no cost to the resident. So pretty exciting new thing. And then we also tried to hook them up with Sunset Vans here in town, to partner with them to purchase some of their electronic or their e-vans that they are using for transit. They use the same kind of vans, and they were able to, they think they're going to be able to tap into some more additional grant funding for basically replacing gas-powered vehicles with electric ones. So that's kind of the big stuff, I think. And then we're also going to be talking about mobile home rent stabilization. That'll be a discussion tonight. We're not going to make a decision tonight. It'll just be a decision on whether or not we're going to go forward and study more, because it is a very complicated issue. And that's probably all the big things. I think it'll be a good council meeting if you're tune in or you're happy to be in town. But that's it. Thanks, Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Wes. Really appreciate you coming on the call. I know you're busy, and we thank you for everything you're doing for the city.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going to hand it over to Paul Bender.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to make an announcement. Some of you may have heard that our very own Stephanie Shapiro is leaving us. We are so thrilled for her. She's moving to Tennessee. I think she's going to be a country and western singer. No. And so she's moving to Tennessee. She's buying her very first home, and we're so happy for her. But as you can imagine, we're sad. It's bittersweet for us. We're sad to see her go. She has dedicated over 10 years of her young life to the chamber. So we want to give her a tremendous farewell. She will be with us, I think, into mid-July, but we're having a farewell bash for her on Thursday, June the 30th at Skyland Ale Works from 5 to 7 p.m. And this is an open invitation to invite you all as friends of the chamber to come and say, it's not farewell, but see you later to Stephanie. I think that's how she prefers it. But please RSVP.
Paulbinder, are we going to split up, and then there's going to be folks that are going to go to this goodbye party, and the other people that are going to go to make sure she can't leave? There's some kind of, we need to go to her home and lock the,
yes, just lock her down. Yeah.
And is that going to be a division of labor at some later date?
Okay, I would welcome any bids on that. Totally welcome any bids. We might have our own Chad Miller design some kind of unbreakable cage or something for her, but it is something that's really quite, I mean, I've actually known Stephanie since she was about 19 or 20. She did a summer assignment for me when she was back in the day. She was a law student and was just absolutely exceptional. So I feel like in my head she's still a teenager, and here she is all grown up and moving away. So if you would, we're going to have food there, and we would love to make sure we're catering properly. So if you could please RSVP by June the 27th, you can go to, I'm really bad at this, bit.ly Tennessee bound, and would love to have you there. Thank you. And thank you, Stephanie, for all your tremendous years of service to the chamber. I'm going to stop there before I start bawling. All right. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thank you, Paulbinder. All right, Stephanie, you're put on the spot. Answer this. Answer this. Go ahead.
Wait, what am I supposed to answer?
Paulbinder.
I don't even know what to do with all that. Okay, if they had told me there was this big announcement, they wouldn't have got me on the call. So good job, secret keepers. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate you all, and I love you all so much. So I definitely hope to see you soon. If you call it a goodbye, you are uninvited. So just keep that in mind, because it is not goodbye. It's just see you soon. So thank you for the shout out. And I will be back later this year. I have a special event to attend in November. So for sure, you'll all see me then. Okay. With that, there were a few things that I wanted to share with you guys today. This coming Friday is Good Morning Corona, and we will be celebrating the graduation of the Executive Leadership Roundtable and talking about how you can become a part of the 2023 class. It's the last Good Morning Corona until August, so we actually have a break in July from this particular event. So we definitely hope to see you there. Otherwise, it'll be 3 months, you know, if you don't come to this one, and that would just be sad for you and sad for me. So I hope to see you there. In place of the July Good Morning Corona, we are hosting a luncheon. It's an economic forecast, and we'll be bringing in Dr. Chris Thornburg. We've actually contracted to have him be our chief economist expert for an annual update for the next several years. And he's very good at what he does. He's very intellectual in this industry, and as an economist, he's going to tell you what you need to know, whether it's good or bad. And so I hope that you're all able to be there to hear that message from him. Tickets are available now. The early bird deadline is actually today. So I hope that you get your tickets and save some money at the same time. Later on in the month of July, on the 23rd, we are going to be hosting a job fair. And so right now we are looking for employers who are seeking people to work for them. If you have a need in your business, we will help fulfill it with this job fair that we're putting on. It'll be at the Shops at Dos Lagos, so in a great visible location. Chamber members, pricing for a table is just $100. And so I think it would be well worth 3 hours of your day. We are going to be incentivizing job seekers to attend. So we're looking to offer some prizes like a television, gas card, things like that to get people to attend. And the big push is to live and work local. So live Corona, work Corona, get off the 91, stop the crazy commute. And so we're not just looking for the unemployed, but the underemployed and the commuter. So those are our targets that we'll be working on. And we know once we start getting a lot of businesses signing up that they will be interested and want to come to this. So if you want to get a table, the information's on your screen. Anthony will put it in the chat so that you can learn more. And we hope that you can take part as an attendee or a sponsor. And
Stephanie, are you going to be sharing that with the city as well? I think that'd be really great for us to really highlight the next couple of meetings, because it really plays into that that live work Corona and coming full circle in the Circle City program. And
yes.
I really want to get it out there is that we're trying to find people that I want people that have a job. Best time to find a new job is when you have a job. And if we can match people up that are making that ridiculous drive every day, that's going to get worse every single day, better for all of us.
Absolutely. Desiree has already outreached to the city. I'm not sure who she's spoken to so far, but we definitely want that involvement and that message out there. We'll see if we can get somebody to the council meeting tonight too to make an announcement.
Thank you. Well, I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
not until July, but if you want to wait a couple, a little bit, that's fine too.
Thank you so much. Finally, the last thing I wanted to share with you guys today is about the Women's Leadership Conference. Our theme this year is Take Charge. We want our attendees to be able to unleash their superpower, whatever that may be to them. That's what we're going to tap into. Men and women are both welcome. Tickets will be on sale very soon. If you text the letters WLC, which stands for Women's Leadership Conference, 271-441, you will get a link and a notification once the tickets are on sale. So we've got an amazing lineup of speakers and a really great half-day program planned for you all. So hope that we see you there. If you have any interest in opportunities to exhibit or get your name out there, we can certainly help with that as well. So just drop a note in the chat and we will follow up with you. And with that, I will turn it back over to Jeff.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to your going away party. I hope you started taking guitar lessons. Good. Okay, let's wrap this up. I want to, before I throw it over to Brad West from Assembly Member Sabrina Cervantes' office, I want to thank Peppermint Ridge for jumping on the call. One of our premier nonprofits in town. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jim. Anything you can put in the chat, contact information would be great. And with that, Brad.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So my big update today is the Assembly member held a press conference last Thursday. We're in some negotiations with the governor's office right now. Of course, it's budget season, and we're trying to pressure the governor to adopt a budget allocation of $33 million to fund the Inland Empire Technical Trade Center that would be run through RCCD. This regional center would be in Harupa Valley, and it would be an earn and learn model for high school graduates, kind of bridging the gap between high school, community college, and these technical trade programs for emerging sectors. We have the carpenters, electricians, pipe fitters, iron workers, all those out at the press conference to show their support. We really want these dollars to come to Riverside County. For far too long, Riverside County has been used for cheap land and cheap labor, and we got to, invest in upskilling the labor of the region, and this is a step to do that. So if anyone is interested, if the Corona Chamber is interested in supporting this budget allocation, I'd be more than happy to send you some materials to share on social media. And that's all I got.
Yes, great. Thank you, Brad. Yes, please send over any sample letters of support. We can, we'll get working on it. And if anybody wants to send a personal letter, just let us know at the chamber. Yeah, there you go. Stephanie said you can email it directly to her. Thank you very much, Brad. That's great. Great news. With that, Sam, does anybody have any, Vic, does anybody have any healthcare updates or anything that you want to share before we wrap it up?
Quick update on COVID. COVID's still around. Be careful. We still have patients in the house. We have 8 patients in the house, none in ICU, but we continue to have admissions ongoing. So please be careful.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sam.
No
With
updates
that-
from City of Hope. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vic. Appreciate that. Maybe at some point you can give us an update on how things are going, though. We're curious just to see how everything's going over there. So,
Oh, well,
with
I
that-
do have an update. We
Okay.
are going to be hosting a tour for Supervisor Spiegel over there at the Corona hospital site on Monday, May 20th. Monday, June 20th.
Great. That's great. Thank you very much. With that, I want to thank our mayor for jumping on the call. Jason Scott's on the call. Jason's a former council member, former mayor of the city of Corona. And I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody. Thank you, Paul Bender, for all the work you do in keeping this chamber going. And we will see you hopefully this Friday at Good Morning Corona. And if not, our next meeting is June 22nd. So have a great day. Have a great week, everybody. And meeting is adjourned.